Hello, everyone. This is Brenton from the Video Content Recorders Podcast. And today we're talking about how to write video essays about games. I forgot my title just then, but that's all right. So to help us out, we got MrDoubleyeww, and we'll bring him in here. How's it going? How's things?
Yeah, pretty excellent, pretty hot, like we just discussed.
Yeah, it is pretty. Well, we're in Australia for people that don't know, and we're during our summer, and it's pretty intense.
Yeah, I'm not yet climatized to living here, so it's especially brutal for me.
How long have you been here for?
I've been in Australia for about a little bit more than 2 years now. I came here. I came here in about the summer of 2018, and yeah, it's been pretty effing hot. Yeah.
Did you come from America?
I'm from Canada originally.
Canada, okay. I just a guess there, but that's all right.
Yeah, it's funny here because I usually get asked by all sorts of people. They're like, "Oh, we don't want to offend you, but are you from America?" And I'm like, "It's okay. I'm not offended. It's like it's not something I would expect you to mix up. That's why I say I'm from Canada. But I find that funny because I'm like, well, what if you did meet an American, and you know what I mean? So, yeah."
Yeah, people get American and Canadian accents confused all the time. But then you get people from Quebec that are very French sounding, so you don't mix that up, but more the English side can sound a bit Americanized.
Well, it's funny because you see people who the only real frame of reference they have of Canadian people is like shows like Trailer Park Boys and Leonard Kenny and stuff like that, and they kind of expect everybody to sound like that, but I don't think I actually know anybody who sounds like that, and I've lived in Canada until I was 21. So, yeah, it's a little bit strange. It's a little bit of a strange stereotype.
Yeah, the only thing I know about Canada is I watched Linus Tech Tips, and he's Canadian.
Yeah,
and he's got the little accent going on. He says a boot sometimes, and a few other things.
It's like I don't even notice. Yeah, it's like I don't even notice I really have much of an accent and somebody won't point it out until they've been talking to me for like an extensive period of time. And they notice I like pronounce just small words differently. But aside from that, they wouldn't be able to tell.
So I didn't really tell you had an accent either until you said you weren't from Australia.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Because watching your videos, I didn't really notice.
Yeah. Well,
cool. So we're going to be talking about video essays because your videos, I'll bring it up on the screen now so everyone can see. I'll get rid of my overlay there. Yeah, so your videos are very long, talking about a game. So you got like half-an-hour videos and 40-minute videos. Like, how does that happen? You got a couple of short ones there, some older ones.
I guess. I don't really know where the best place to start about this would be, but I mean, if you're curious about, I guess, where I got the idea to start writing video game essays, I guess I've always been really attracted to sort of, I guess, like even just like when I was a kid and stuff like that, just kind of like editorial pieces and stuff like that about just like, games media from like, the mid 2000s and stuff like that. And that usually occupied a lot of my time when I was a kid and stuff like that. So, I'm kind of wanting to be a film student. When I got to Australia, I kind of was sort of without a hobby. Like I was working and stuff like that, living with my girlfriend, stuff like that. But I was kind of without a hobby, and I was like, well, I have a PC now. I kind of have the means to do this. I'd like to kind of get good at making videos and stuff like that because it's what I'm really really keen about. So I did the easiest thing that I could to capture the stuff that was the easiest stuff to capture, which is just games from my computer or whatnot, and sort of make pieces about that kind of just go a little bit beyond just, I guess, just reviewing, because I feel like you can really get a review sort of everywhere, and the videos that I'm always the most drawn to are the ones that kind of have something more, I guess, of importance to say about a game that you might not have considered before watching that piece. So that's kind of, I guess, sort of the angle I've always taken with my videos, is to be a little bit more profound than just kind of recapping everything and kind of just giving an opinion on how I feel about something.
Yeah. So your inspirations are probably, was it Ray Civic? Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
That guy and Mental Gaming.
I call him racist Vic, but no, he's a real nice guy. No, he's not actually a racist, but he well, yeah, it would stem a little bit before that, but I had started watching Racevic videos probably about 4 or 5 years ago before I was really making videos, and those are probably the most profound, like, those are probably the pieces I think to the most, especially some of his earlier videos about Halo and stuff like that, and the years later ones that really kind of, well, him being, I think he's like the same age as me, and also he's from Vancouver, which is not very far from where I grew up. Really, kind of speaking to, I guess, sort of how I felt about those games in retrospect, and that kind of really made me want to. Well, it was a combination of not just Racevic, but him especially, and he's inspired quite a few since then to, I guess, sort of make. Sort of to write about games in sort of the same way that they sort of leave you feeling, and that is just not to maybe just do a recap, but to maybe say something a little bit more, I feel like.
And also, Critical Nobody would be the ones you would have seen him before and was inspired by his stuff as well.
Oh yeah, funny enough, actually, just a little bit, I guess, before this podcast, it was about around Christmas time. Not necessarily a huge follower of Critical Nobody, but somebody who I made a lot of references to in that Conviction video that I had made a few months ago, because he's like an extensive like Splinter Cell YouTuber, and funnily enough, he actually ended up finding that video and put it up on his Twitter, which was like a really awesome Christmas present, because it literally was like the 24th when that happened. But people like that. Yeah, people like that. Racevic.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw your tweet. You tweeted, yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome. That video has been probably doing the best out of the small amount that I've done so far.
Yeah, that's why I want to talk to you, because you only just started doing these sort of videos recently, and they're very long.
Yeah.
And you got a lot to talk about. So that video, that's the most viewed video that Splinter Cell one, and that because of that, I'm sure that's because of the tweet. Yeah.
Well, really, like, what this stuff started with was like, just to go back a little bit to the Resident Evil video. I wanted to just start making videos, and I kind of just used games as something I knew that was sort of familiar and stuff like that. But I didn't really realize how hard it was to write about games until I started making that first Resident Evil video. And like, I look back at it now, and it was only 15 minutes, and the other ones are quite longer than that. That's it's probably like one of my shorter videos. But that one probably was the most difficult to make, just because I didn't flunk out of school, but I was like not necessarily the most keen student or anything like that when it came to like high school and stuff like that. So writing really, well, like language arts and that sort of stuff, not really like my forte so much. So when it came to writing about sort of the idea I had about a Resident Evil 4 video, I had no idea how to structure it. So it just kind of was like a big Google document of just like words being just kind of like spewed out, and just me kind of trying to like record, edit, and then condense it somehow. And it probably took me like, I don't know, I think I ended up quitting at one point because I just couldn't make any sense. And I put it away for about 2 months. I ended up coming back to it after a lot of frustration and out of a lot of counseling from other people, just saying like, well, listen, man, maybe you should like make a thesis, and you should make like an introductory paragraph, and just kind of, I guess, the sort of basics that you kind of that I wasn't aware of like any sort of just persuasive like writing. So yeah, going from that to like I don't know, like the Splinter Cell video and stuff like that, it's been surprisingly a large part of it has been writing, and that really was not the intent of it when I was going when I started making these videos. It was really just kind of like learning how to edit, learning how to use Adobe and stuff like that. But it became a large part about writing.
Yeah, that's what I want to talk to you too, but because the writing, because I've been trying to do gaming content since like 2008, but the writing part is what I get stuck on. Because like I play the game, and then what do I say about it?
Yeah, it's hard to. It can be hard to. Yeah, well, especially for me, like being somebody, I guess, who works a lot, like, you know, we're not like students anymore or anything like that. And, you know, a lot of the time I don't actually have a lot of time in my week to really sit down and game. Usually when I'm busy or preoccupied with something like work or, you know, my day to day, I usually end up taking a lot of time thinking about, you know, I usually think about, you know, what I would rather be doing. And a lot of that sort of ends up winding up being about games and stuff like that. And I kind of, you know, that's sort of where I start making my sentiments of not just games that I've played recently, but kind of just like, you know, I guess sort of, you know, thoughts I have about them and stuff like that, sort of go into other ones. So like, you know, with the Conviction one, I was like, I kind of just sat down one day and started playing Conviction again. And I was like, man, this is like really the only Splinter Cell I've played. And I've played it before and I've beat it, but like, this was like, you know, this was a special game to me because it kind of introduced me to stealth and stuff like that. And I didn't really I didn't really actually replay it until I was writing the video. But you know, it's kind of just where like, you know, an idea comes from. Cause you know, I guess anybody can sort of just like, you know, make a review about a video game or something that they've played, but you know what I mean? Like, I'd rather just play the game for myself. You know what I mean? If I wanted an opinion. So yeah.
Did you play the original ones, or you just that's the one you played?
I've played bits of them. I've played bits of them. I've given them all fair shots, we'll say, but I've never been committed enough to finish one. And like even in that video, I did give Chaos Theory like a little bit of a whirl, and not to say it's a bad game by any means, but it became too frustrating to get my head around for the amount of time I was willing to give it.
You're comparing Splinter Cell to Metal Gear Solid a lot too in that video.
Yeah, that's because I understand Metal Gear Solid a lot better than Splinter Cell.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah,
I haven't played Metal Gear Solid. I haven't played the whole thing, the original one. I think I ever finished it. I had the demo on the original PlayStation. I played that over and over again because that demo was so cool. But yeah. I got the disc somewhere, but I never actually finished it. I should. Now it's on GOG on PC. I should check it out.
You should. I would highly recommend that you play it just on like a PlayStation or something like that with a controller, especially like a proper PlayStation controller, because I don't know about those GOG ports, but apparently they weren't too hot. At least when it came to one of them, because I know they did 2 and 1. But if you're going to do one, I would just blow the dust off the old system and give it a whirl.
Yeah, put the PS1 game in a PS3, and away we go.
Yeah.
Find a PS2 controller that's still working, because those controls notoriously don't work.
Yeah, that's how I played it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The PS3 controllers are notorious have battery issues.
Oh well, I don't know, man.
It's hard to find a working cord. I like to use the PS4 controller on the PS3. Only thing is the home button doesn't work, so that's annoying.
Oh, I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah, you can sync it up as a Bluetooth controller, but then the home button, the PS button, doesn't do anything, which is bizarre.
Oh. Yeah, that's strange, huh?
It's very strange. That's the only thing I don't like about it, but other than that, it works fine.
Yeah, well, I'm having a bunch of issues with that because we have a bunch of old consoles that we're trying to sell right now because we're going to be moving at the end of the year. And so we have like a PS3 and like a PS4 and stuff like that. So, and a bunch of like old Rock Band stuff that we just don't touch anymore. So it's funny enough that you actually say that, because I've been trying to make sure that all the batteries work in the controllers. Yeah, and so I've been going through buckets of cords, just making sure that they all can hold full charges and stuff like that. But yeah, they seem to be working fine.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, I've got like 3 of them, and they all don't work.
First world problems.
Yeah. So when you're playing the game, do you take notes as you go and then flush the notes out later, or do you play the whole game, then sit down and type it out?
Well, as of this point, I've been very ambiguous about sort of the videos I've wanted to make, because I really am only just starting out. And the reason why I guess I've been so ambiguous about it is because I guess there's sort of videos that I've sort of wanted to see other people make for a while. So kind of going back to my first one, and I was watching a video of Mandalore probably like a little bit before I started this, and I guess he kind of had some advice for people who were starting out making videos like this, and was just make videos about stuff that you want to make stuff about. Don't like really worry too much about trends and whatnot. Worry about more what you can talk about, what you understand, and what you're passionate about. So that became stuff that wasn't exactly really trendy, but stuff that I was playing and stuff that I was enjoying and stuff that I kind of cared about at the time. And that almost always usually starts with an idea, and it usually doesn't really, it usually doesn't really refer too much to like the mechanics so much of like how the game works and sort of like, you know, the takeaways from it. It's, yeah, I don't know. It always ends up being a lot more ambiguous than that. And especially like with the most recent one I did about Darkest Hour. I don't know if you ever heard about that game, but
no, I didn't ask you about it because I don't know what it was when I watched the video.
No, fair enough. I don't think most people have. It's very niche, but usually
good views there though.
Yeah, it's a whole other thing, but like when it comes to it, really what I've gone into now is really, I guess, sort of I end up thinking about like, I guess, sort of how I feel about the game, and then I kind of try to relate that to, I guess, playing it. It's, I don't know, maybe I'm puzzling that a little bit, but I mean, to answer your question, yes, I do write notes as I'm playing the game, especially when I have the idea for the video, but usually not beforehand. Yeah.
With do you watch Nitro Rad?
Nitro Rad.
He does the horror games and the platformers.
I think so.
He did a video about how he does his videos, and he's on his recording software. He takes notes, and then the recording software he checks the time code, and he puts the time code near the notes so he knows what section the video, like when he's editing, where to find the video. Like,
I wonder what he uses then.
Yeah, I got to watch that video again. What do you use to capture? Is it just screen recording software like OBS? So
no, what I use is actually I have a second PC, just like an old gaming laptop that I have hooked up to an Elgato, like a USB Elgato.
Okay.
And I do it all through there with basically everything that I do, whether it be a console or whatnot. I always have it through to another PC. Yeah, and I just find it always works better that way because you don't have to worry about I like as much as I like OBS for like if I do stream like on the rare occasion. The game capture software is, well, one, it's much easier to set up. It's much more easier to use as opposed to like, you know, adjusting bit rates and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And it doesn't. I haven't really gotten it to work with OBS yet. Game capture is just the way for me.
I'm a fan of using external capture devices. I've got one here that takes USB ports. You put a USB device, a USB stick, and you record on that.
Yeah,
I'm a fan of those ones because I don't trust computers because they work in IT. They always crash on me. So in the middle of like a 4-hour game session, I don't want the gameplay to be lost.
Yeah,
so I use one of these guys.
Does it go from the external card to a PC, or does it just go to the card?
It goes to so you put a USB stick in and you take it out and put it in the computer later.
Oh, no kidding. Huh.
Yeah, so you just put it in. It has the footage on there and you put that into your computer later. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been using these for years. This is the latest one I got because the other one I got broke on me. But yeah, these are great. They've got the on-off button on them. I'm actually, because I do tech tutorials at the moment, and I've been using that with a Chromecast. So I've put the Chromecast plug into it so I can do tutorials with that.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, yeah, no, because I with an external game capture card, it ends up on the off chance that it ends up fizzling out. Sometimes I've lost like 2 hours of footage just because the cord needed to be pulled out and put back in again, or something stupid like that, or really audio. Usually I'll have to do like a good like 5-minute test just to make sure that everything's all sweet and I can leave it. So. Yeah, I don't know. It can be a pain sometime, but I always just tell myself it's much worth putting up with that than having like a I don't know, having to, suffer performance on my PC or something like that. So
yeah, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of Twitch. I watch Twitch a lot, and a lot of them always have issues with their performance.
Yeah. Yeah.
As one guy.
Yeah. Well, I was just saying, my girlfriend, she used to stream quite occasionally, and she has a much weaker PC than mine, albeit like, a decent PC just for if you were just a game. But almost any game that she plays, unless it's like, I don't know, something like a sprite based game or something like that, she almost always is spending about like 20, sometimes even like 40 minutes just like tinkering with settings and stuff like that. I'm like, well, it's not even worth it at that point, because it just takes all the fun out of streaming. You know what I mean? When you have to mess around with stuff.
All my machines are really old, so I rather do console gaming than PC gaming.
Yeah.
My laptop I'm using now is almost 10 years old, and it just handles what I do.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, so I do retro games on Twitch sometimes, and it just handles it. I got a cheap capture card from eBay. Actually, I got one here, and I play a PS4 through that. It's only like a little cheap little thing like that. That's all it is.
Yeah.
It's like $10 on eBay.
Yeah, and you don't need much, especially if you're not even using any capture software on your laptop. You're just putting in something and then putting it back into your laptop or whatever. You don't really need much for just a hard drive, really.
Yeah, I got a terabyte SSD in this thing, which is insane for its age. I put in myself. It's only a starter one.
Yeah,
I like yeah, I upgrade this thing so much so I can do what it needs to do. I had a 250 gig SSD in it, but there was enough for videos and stuff. So a terabyte is still just enough.
Yeah.
So that Spinoza video you did, was that the 360 running on the 360?
Yeah, well, to anybody who's actually played Conviction on the PC, or any Ubisoft game from I guess just around that period of just like the late 2010s, Uplay is like notoriously like scuffed for doing anything that's sort of anything online. So you can play the single player game of Conviction on PC quite well, and it's pretty easy to run. It didn't really have any issues with it. Instead of just putting it into compatibility mode, but capturing any of the co-op footage for that and Ghost Recon Future Soldier, the one I did before that Conviction video, was basically impossible, where I had to load up the originals and find somebody to play on the 360 with. Yeah. So actually a bit of both for that video. I did both versions. I played the single player on PC and the co-op on 360, which had like the notorious like latency, like the latency where it's like input delay. It's not like you know what I mean, where it's like everything is delayed by like a second of all your inputs, so everything is like a second behind. Yeah,
I heard that before. Is that just the 360 itself, or that game?
I guess it relates to the way some games co-op is. Usually in co-op from what I see. Some games how they've coded co-op. Halo's a good example of it, where like the Halo campaigns, if you are not a host, you will suffer from like input delay, where basically everything will be in real time, but your inputs won't be. It'll take a second for them to register. So you'll push forward on. Yeah, you'll push forward aside from aiming for the most part, but moving around especially is annoying. It takes some time getting used to, because you'll need like a second to wound up your character and go forward. And it's the exact same thing in Splinter Cell, so it's really annoying.
Have you tried Convictions in the Xbox One consoles, the backwards compatibility?
Yeah, that's what I was playing it on.
Okay,
because I don't have an old console. Yeah.
I like how you could put the 360 games in the Xbox One and Series X, and it plays back much better. Frame rate better.
Yeah, that's that's basically the only console I have just for that reason, just because most of my games are on Xbox, and they just work better anyway on the Xbox One, so it just makes sense just having one instead of having all these other things around my house.
Yeah, that's what I like about the Xbox backwards compatibility. I think the PS5 backwards compatibility is pretty decent too with PS4 games. It up-reses and it fixes the frame rate issues.
Yeah. Oh, I wouldn't know. Yeah,
You haven't got
I
one
hear
yet?
it's great. Yeah, no, I wouldn't know.
If you can find a PS5, I haven't got one yet either because it's a lot of money and you can't find one right now.
Yeah, I'm trying to. Well, we're trying to move at the end of the year to Canada, so we're basically selling everything that we don't need, aside from like our computers, basically, because like all our games, basically can just be played on computer. So like we don't really bother too much with it. Yeah.
Have you tried 360 emulation on your PC yet? Apparently, that's gone pretty well.
I've tried PS3 emulation, but not
How was that?
nothing like. It takes a lot of configuring, and it is very demanding. But I've seen people do it. I've seen people do it, and it is possible. But I have like a Metal Gear Solid 4. It's like a 40 gigabyte ROM. It's like the biggest ROM I have, and it's there. But I haven't been able to get it work because it's still like a very experimental thing, and it takes a lot of tinkering and stuff like that. I just have not given it the time yet.
The way the PS3 was engineered, the PowerPC architecture was very intense, even for developers to make games for. So to emulate it on an x86 machine, it's very hard. It's doable though. Yeah, but it's very hard.
Well, I'm looking forward to when it gets to a point where it's a lot more stable, because a lot of those games, like Metal Gear Solid 4, which is like probably my favorite PS3 game, don't really run the greatest, and they would be so much better just being up-resed and just with a stable frame rate. So yeah, just I'll probably give it a whirl sometime recently, now that you've reminded me.
You can actually get emulators running on the Xbox Series X, and they actually run really well. Have you seen that? Yeah. Someone got PS2 games running on it.
No, actually, I think I saw that Tech Gamer guy. I think I've seen something about that. Yeah,
you got GameCube games and PS2 games running on the Series X. It's like, I wouldn't surprised they got PS3 games running on that at some point.
Yeah,
because those emulators they're using were actually coded for the Xbox One. It's just running in backwards compatibility.
Oh yeah.
So if it was coded for the Series X, then I'm pretty sure they can get the PS3 stuff running on it, which is insane. The Xbox has better compatibility than the PS5 does.
Yeah. No,
it's pretty nuts. Yeah. So if anyone wanted to start a channel running about games, have you got any tips on that sort of thing?
Well, I'm gonna
how you could talk for 40 minutes on that.
I'm probably not the best person to ask necessarily, because I'm still very new to it, and I'm not. I am still very new to it. I still consider myself. I don't consider myself to be experienced by any means, but if I were to tell myself starting out what to maybe do if I wanted to kind of get into this sort of stuff, is to don't overestimate the planning stage of making these videos and stuff like that, and also don't expect any of your videos to really succeed, because that shouldn't be. Anybody will really tell you that shouldn't really be your motivation for doing this stuff. It is nice, having a Splinter Cell video and then people really liking it and people saying nice things and stuff like that. But the anxiety of counting views and stuff like that, and making sure a video does better than maybe what you expected it kind of undermines the whole process. So I think making something that you're proud of ultimately is more important than, I guess, the takeaway, especially if you're starting out, because I don't think anybody really should be getting into doing any sort of creative content production, whether it be YouTube or Twitter, if their goal is to monetize it immediately. I think you should do it because it's a hobby, it's a passion, and if you can get to a point where you can monetize it or it is immensely popular, that's like a bonus. That should be like a bonus. So, but as for the writing part,
I
was just gonna say, as for like doing video essays, and I'm not exactly a Bible at all for this, because I still struggle with it all the time. But definitely structuring your ideas is an important thing, and definitely structuring your ideas is an important thing, because you can definitely lose your concept by the time you've worked a video to a conclusion, which has happened to me more than once.
So what I was going to say with my my channel, it took me 3 years to get monetized on my tech channel.
Yeah.
So it takes a while. So if you're trying to do YouTube to make money, it could happen, but it's going to take a while.
Yeah. Well, I have been curious about I guess how ethical it would be to I guess sponsor or maybe to have a Patreon before you're at a point of being monetized. And not necessarily something I think I'm going to be doing anytime soon, but especially because I follow Casey's channel quite a bit and stuff like that, and being familiar with Casey's, well, to anybody I guess who's listening to this is not familiar with Casey. Casey is usually does videos about, I guess, sort of in the ballpark of more niche stuff on, ports and whatnot, and I guess old games with sort of abandoned communities. But Casey is I'm pretty sure a production student, and she she lives in a dorm, and doesn't really, from what I understand at least, doesn't really have too much of an income, especially amid COVID and all that. And I've seen her many times being very, I guess, self-critical about raising Patreon fees and whatnot, and already not asking very much for a Patreon fee. I don't exactly know how much, but I think if somebody was starting out and if they were to make like a Patreon or something like that kind of earlier on, I would not necessarily be too, I feel like I'd be pretty understanding of that, especially if you were wanting to sort of pursue this more, I guess, more full time and kind of get away from what you're doing, especially if you're like an adult, like you and me, we both have full-time jobs and actual obligations. It's very hard to make videos, especially like the ones that I do that are very long, when, you have a 30-hour, even just like a 30-hour work week, and, family and stuff like that to tend to. So, yeah, I guess what I'm trying to say is, I guess if somebody were to make a Patreon early on, I would not be very critical of them, because I'm pretty understanding of how hard it is to devote time to this hobby, with if you're not living at home and if you're not a student, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So Casey's videos, she seems to be posting like once a week or once every couple of weeks, and her ports, the videos about rubbish ports are doing really well. This Call of Duty one, 100K views in 3 days.
Yeah, well, she's had a lot of time recently, amid being isolated and whatnot, because I'm pretty sure she got tested positive with COVID.
Didn't hear about that. Okay, yep.
Yeah, she got tested positive with COVID, and she had to self-isolate for a couple of weeks. So she just used all that time to basically just grind making videos and stuff like that. But yeah, it's pretty astonishing in just a sort of amount of time that I guess I've been aware of Casey's channel, to see her go from I believe it was like 20K to about 32K. Pretty awesome. Yeah,
I've been watching her channel since the this one here, if you can see it. The can you play Half-Life 2 maps on PC?
Yeah.
The trying to switch the maps from the Xbox version to the PC version, then back again. They're the ones I was watching pretty much when they were out. So that was like 3 years ago.
I think that was the
really
first
interesting
one I
video.
saw too.
Yeah. And then she went on to during last gen ports, and they're the ones, I think that's her niche now, reviewing that sort of stuff.
That was kind of made me want to do sort of a port video as well on what was it, Advanced Warfighter, and doing that, and that was really encouraging. Casey was nice enough to actually do a sort of a collaboration starting out. That was 4 videos ago. Jeez, it was almost 10 months ago doing that, and I found those videos to be very interesting, because especially games like that are sort of a niche nature and having so many different versions, but it was a pain to
it was a pain to, I guess. It was a pain to do. It wasn't so much a pain to make. It was just a pain to sort of go through all the different versions and play all of them, because some of the games were just dreadful, and I could not really enjoy them for no matter how hard I tried.
How many versions are there? Were there on the PS2?
If we're talking about Ghost Recon Advanced Warfighter, the first one, I believe there is 1, 2, 3, 4 separate versions that are all distinctly different.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's why I wanted to make a video on it.
The back in like the late 2000s, when the PS2 was still kicking around, it was getting all these weird ports of next gen games.
Yeah.
So that was a really interesting period.
Yeah, that seemed to that seemed to be the case with that game.
It's like, how are you getting a next gen game run on the PS2, which was the weakest of that generation? It was crazy, yeah.
Just to make more money, I guess.
Oh yeah, I mean, like, how is it physically possible? That's
it was especially interesting with that one was because I got in touch with somebody from another Discord that I'm in who is a game developer who knew his name is Christopher Allen, and he was like one of the project leads or something like that in Halo Reach and stuff like that. And he was very involved with Ghost Recon Advanced Warfighter and Ghost Recon 2 that came before it. And I was able to get a hold of him and ask him some questions and include him in that, because I kind of asked him about why was there such varying, I guess, quality as the ports went on, and how they went about outsourcing so many different ports for one game to not just one company but 2 different companies, because anybody familiar with Advanced Warfighter knows that it was made primarily by I don't know exactly, but North America Ubisoft, but they outsourced the PC version to the same guys who would go on to make Payday, who was like some Swedish company or something like that, or something like that. I could be getting that. I think maybe Polish. And then the console, the PS2 versions and the original Xbox versions were like, it was like Ubisoft Shanghai or something like that. So they had like, they had to work through all these different networks and communicate the same the premise of the game and the layout of the campaign. But with a completely different framework and cutting a lot of stuff and including a lot of other stuff in different versions depending on which one you played. So it's I don't know, it's a huge mess that I don't necessarily know if it paid off in the end, but definitely something that probably will never happen again.
Yeah. Oh well. Do you hear what happened to Cyberpunk? All those ports didn't turn out too well, too hot.
Yeah, well,
and that was just one studio, as far as I know, doing all that.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, it might be a little bit different because it is still like one version of the same game, albeit with different different drawbacks or sorry, with different cuts and stuff like that. But I think like games that you don't see games basically being redone for different systems anymore. So like even
the systems are pretty similar.
Yeah, the baseline is pretty similar to the point where, like, especially if you see like with games like Doom and stuff like that, Doom and Doom can run on the Switch, albeit with a lot of drawbacks. You know what I mean? They didn't make they don't make a new hand me down Doom for the Switch. That's sort of the expectation now, is that you should be able to play at least the majority of the original game in some fashion. On the
they even got Witcher 3 running on the Switch, which is very bizarre. That game looks horrible, but it runs.
Yeah, it does kind of make me a little bit sad, because we're definitely getting away from that era of in like weird versions that I think a lot of the people that you and I probably watch base their content around, is these sort of niche sort of versions of otherwise popular games that have.
That's how I found under 10 hours. I was watching his N64 Tony Hawk videos,
Yeah,
those ports are weird.
yeah. I think I might have seen one of those. Yeah,
Yeah, that's how I found his channel. I was talking to him a few podcast episodes ago about retro gaming because yeah, I like his channel. It's good. Yeah, so the Tony Hawk games on 64 were really different because the 64 couldn't do videos, it couldn't do music as well as the PS1 can. So all the stuff that makes the Tony Hawk games special are gone. So you just got the bare gameplay and the weird controller to play with.
No, absolutely. Yeah. No, yeah, strange a bit.
Yeah, so when a game developer makes a game now, they've got to release it on 11 platforms if they're making console versions.
Yeah, that's what it seems like. I would just rather
it's really hard.
It'd probably just make it a lot easier for everybody if they just locked it out of certain systems and they wouldn't have to worry about what happened to Cyberpunk, because that's the expectation. That's the expectation with a lot of games that have been really popular, like like PUBG and whatnot. Albeit not really as popular. But if you looked at, I guess, what you got on PC compared to what you got on console, it's just as bad, if not worse, than Cyberpunk. And nobody really has drawn too much notice to it. But like, it just makes sense. Like, if you're going to play PUBG, not that anybody really plays it anymore.
Fortnite killed it.
Yeah, you know what I mean. You just
copied the gameplay and then just overtook it.
Yeah.
Nothing can compete with Fortnite now. Fortnite's massive. I don't play it. I don't like it, but it's the kids love it.
Yeah.
on my tech channel, I always get people, because I do videos about security.
Yeah.
And a lot of kids playing Fortnite going to my channel asking questions, because a lot of them are getting like threatened and stuff on that game. So I have to tell them how to deal with it. It's like, what are you coming to me for? Go to your parents. Like, wait.
Yeah, turn off the game.
Yeah, there's too many kids playing games online. I'm not a fan of it, but that's okay. There's too many bad people online these days.
Yeah, man.
I don't play online games myself, really. I just play single player retro games, really.
Yeah, man. It's hard to make time.
Yeah, because I upload a video a day on my channel.
No, yeah.
I do daily, so that's hectic.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine doing that.
No, not with your type of videos. Mine are just tutorials and cute question and answers. So they're not like half an hour videos about a game. It's like 2-3 minutes long.
Yeah. Yeah, no, man.
Yes, your videos are very niche. It's good.
Yeah, well, it's just with like the Mandalore thing. I feel like I'm just kind of getting to the point now where I can kind of speak a little bit more, I guess, broadly about interesting stuff. Where like I'm writing a lot quicker now, so I feel like I'm able to cover stuff. I kind of went through sort of like a really difficult period making my last video. Not only just because of work and whatnot, but because it became really so like ambiguous and kind of to the point where it was very like philosophical, I guess you could say, about the game that I was talking about, and sort of the takeaways from it and the draws from it. And it was kind of, it was kind of meant to be more of a serious video, and I really did not want it to run the risk of coming off as being too. What's the word? I guess like, I don't know, like obnoxious. Like I wanted it to be thoughtful, but I didn't want it to be, you come off as, I feel like I know too much of what I'm talking about. I want it to be, that's really important. I feel like when you're making like, long form videos, is that you kind of come to invite a message, and not, if you rely too much on like, sort of like wordy cliches and stuff like that, and, dramatic music and stuff like that, well, those are the videos that I turn off basically. Especially going into a video with like sort of like more serious subject matter. I spent a lot of time second guessing myself, I guess. So it took a long time to write, and it took a long time to sort of figure out sort of the direction of the video. Yeah, even after I came through the concept of it, I had to rewrite the concept of it a few times to get it right. And I feel like after going through that mountainous challenge of finishing that video, I'm kind of just ready to sort of talk about more simpler subjects again. You know what I mean? So like, yeah, I don't know. I kind of feel like I reached my my breaking point with that video, and I'm kind of just like, I'm ready to kind of just get back into just talking about more broadly about games, and just sort of more subjective takes than getting really nitty gritty into the more artistic side of it.
Yeah, that video was very nitty gritty. It was very zoomed in on that game, which I never heard of that game either. So it's good for me to be aware of it. I like that's why I like YouTube. It's because it's drawing attention to games that I don't know about. Like it's trying, it's like not like it's archiving. So like archival. It's archiving those sort of games in time.
Yeah, well, that's also why I suppose I choose to do videos on stuff like that, is because I really can't. The one thing I really can't stand about videos on YouTube is videos. I'll see videos dissecting the same bit of information or the same opinion, or the same subject or the same opinion 3 different times over the course of a year by a separate amount of different people. And I like one of the ones that I've seen far too much to the point where it's sick is like people will talk about like the history of like Halo 2's development is a really good one, where it's just like, it's something that I guess I know so much about that whenever I see a new video on it, I roll my eyes and I kind of am just like, I don't feel like this needs another video. I feel like anybody else could, I feel like it's common enough that there doesn't need to be another video on it. So doing a video on like Darkest Hour, a game which virtually like nobody I know plays or like even knows about. I feel like it's beneficial for a small channel like mine, because I'll put a lot of effort into a video and stuff like that, and I'll show it to like the community behind that game, which is relatively small, and the developers, and they'll hold it up to some esteem because not many people are very aware of the game and whatnot, and I guess the video can kind of get a little bit more traction that way, especially starting out. I feel like that's kind of been like my sort of, at least in the last little while, my sort of niche is because targeting sort of smaller games with smaller communities. That way they can kind of circulate around a little bit better instead of doing like broad subjects on broad things that people are sort of already familiar with.
I was looking at your thumbnail design too. It reminds me a lot of Mini-Me. Do you watch Mini-Me?
Yeah.
He sticks his face and everything.
Oh, I used to do that a little bit, but I was kind of getting away from that, doing moving out from the more serious videos, like the conviction video and the last one, because I'm not nearly as inventive with Photoshop as he is. I kind of only really know how to just like cut a face out and put it on top of a figure. He'll reattach noses and eyes and change the color of his pupils and all this sort of stuff to make it look really botched. I'm nowhere at his skill.
His thumbnails are very insane. But if you see it, it's a Mini-Me video. Yeah. Is Mini-Me another inspiration, do you think, when you started?
Oh, not when I started, but he definitely has a sort of a different kind of audience than what I sort of strive for, because his niche is very much playing those sort of games that I would watch a video about, but I would never play. Like I would never play the Sopranos game for PS2. I would absolutely watch a video about it because that sounds ridiculous and stupid. But you couldn't actually honestly expect me to sit down and play something like that because I wouldn't enjoy it, and I wouldn't. it would make making a video about it kind of like a resentful thing. You know what I mean? It would be kind of hard for me.
Video about the Skittles game that you did. You're gonna track down the Skittles game and play it?
No, I haven't. But that sounds like something he would do.
Yeah, it's there's a tie-in game with Skittles, but it wasn't called Skittles. It was something else, but they used Skittles as like magical powers or something, magical stones or something bizarre. It's like he finds these bizarre games and makes a video about it. It's really cool.
I think at some point I'll probably border more back into doing stuff like about games that I'll probably be more resentful towards playing, like Skittle games and all the weird sort of Steam stuff you can find on the Steam store and under the 18+ section. Okay. I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet. I'm trying to have fun with it.
I found the Postman Pat game on PS2 I want to check out.
Yeah.
I want to do a video about. Do you know what Postman Pat is?
I do not know.
It's a stop motion kids TV show from the 80s that came out in the UK.
Okay. All right.
For some reason it has a PS2 game. I don't know why. It's like 20 years too late.
Yeah, it seems a little. Yeah, that seems a little bit late. That's like making like a Rugrats game for like the Switch now. It's like
there's a Rugrats remake coming out or reboot coming out soon apparently. So maybe that would be a good thing.
maybe, but I guess.
Yeah, I used to watch that show when I was a kid. But yeah, I just went to the store. I went to a retro store, found Postman Pat game on PS2, and picked it up. I was like, "What the hell is this thing? Why does this exist?"
Yeah, no,
it came out after the PS3 came out, so it came out late 2000s. So like, who wants a PS2 a Postman Pat game on the PS2 in 2008 when they showed it came out in the 80s?
Yeah,
when the PS3 is already out. Yeah, it's some of these game studios are just. I don't know what they're doing.
I rarely buy. I tend to rarely buy new games, unfortunately. Which I guess just because I'm stubborn and I like what I like, and I'm very I guess I'm very like senile towards trying new things unless I'll know that I'll like it. So it's kind of unfortunately it's kind of made me also I don't have as much time as I would like to play video games, but I feel like if I did, I would probably be trying all these other weirder games that that you're talking about. I don't know anything about that, nothing that weird, but I mean, who knows?
Yeah, well, like when adults we need to work and get busy and don't have time to play games all the time, so we need to play something that we like. Because that's why on my PS4 I usually just play re-releases. I usually pre-order re-releases because I know they're good because they've been out for years. It's just the new version of it. And then play those because I know I like those games.
Yeah, well, it's actually kind of a catalyst for the next video I'm working on. I'll talk about it a bit, I guess. I mean, I don't really care. It's about dog fighters and games like Ace Combat and the Star Wars Squadrons that came out just recently. How basically when Flight Simulator came out, it was in like the fall or whatnot. I was like, oh, that looks really cool. I really wanted to try it because it was kind of like a trend. It was like everybody was sort of talking about it and seeing all the places you could go, and I really wanted to try it. So I ended up buying like a just kind of like a baseline like Logitech joystick. And it was on Game Pass, so I didn't actually need to worry about buying Flight Simulator because I could just get it for free basically. And very soon after playing Flight Simulator, it kind of like fizzled out and like people kind of stopped caring about it after like a week, and it was like 200 gigabytes or something like that on my hard drive. Yeah, it was massive, and I was like, I wasn't really playing. I was like, okay, well, I've gone to like I can see my old house and stuff like that. I can see my house, but like I kind of stopped playing it after that. And I was like, I have this joystick now. Like, what am I gonna do with this? So I was like, well, I guess do what you do with a joystick. I guess try to find some flight games. So I started playing like these flight games, and I'm not really my forte really at all. I tried Combat Simulator DCS, which is like probably more hardcore than Fight Simulator. Not really my thing. You have to do all these different lessons. Like each plane is literally like has like a textbook for operations and controls, and literally all the buttons in the cockpit you can literally like actually switch and they do stuff. And it was like, okay, well, there's a niche there, but it's really not for me. So I ended up trying games, a little bit more, I guess, accessible, along the lines of like Ace Combat and stuff like that. Games that I had always been kind of curious about, but I was like, well, I don't really know if I'm going to really enjoy it or not. Trying to justify this purchase. And well, what I ended up finding was that, holy cow, like I couldn't believe that I had neglected this, I guess, sort of genre of games so long out of fear of just them sort of being deemed too kind of complicated to be able to enjoy. Because I'm pretty picky. Like I won't buy a new game at all unless it's like most of the games I played in last year were really just games I've had installed like on my PC since I built the thing. So I felt kind of bad that I was like, I hadn't really given these games a fair shot, because they ended up being like the biggest takeaways of the year for me. I played Ace Combat. I don't know if you've heard of a game called Free Space that's like 21 years old, and Squadrons and Wingmans, this sort of collection of games. And what I came to find was that, well, the inclusion of Free Space was that all these games had come out in the last 2 years, really. And I was like, well, I felt like it was like a really fortunate time for me to all of a sudden like pick up a new niche, because there was all these new games that were like, top of the line. I would say like absolutely like 9 out of 10s. And I guess, I don't know. Yeah, I was kind of like, I feel like I need more, I should take more liberties, I guess, in trying new games and stuff like that. Cause like in the case of me, you can find something that probably has easily become my now most favorite genre of games. Before, it used to be just like kind of like shooters and tactical shooters. Now for me, it's easily dogfighters and games of the likes. So yeah, you should absolutely, if there's a resolution you're going to make this year when it comes to gaming, you try something new, and try to justify all that hard drive space that you haven't filled up yet with games.
Yeah, there's so much stuff on Steam, and the games are so big now. You said Flight Simulator is 200 gigs, and I think the new Call of Duty is 200 gigs as well.
Yeah, those are the games that I just steer clear of. I'm just
too big.
Yeah, well, maybe just too high profile for me, I guess. I don't know. That kind of sounds a little bit stingy, but I'm just like,
I like the weird stuff.
Yeah, I like the weird stuff. Well, I'll get hours more enjoyment of just like playing a game. A lot of games that are probably like under 5 gigabytes than a lot of those games that need 200 gigabytes. You know what I mean?
I've been checking out some games on Steam that actually can run on the Mega Drive, or you call it Genesis. So the on Steam, because Genesis is still getting new games, and they're actually doing Steam ports, which include emulators built in. So Tanglewood's one of those, and I think Coffee Crisis is another one. I think that's actually a port, not an emulation. Yeah, but I've been checking out those, and I like that sort of, because I grew up with what we call the Mega Drive here, but I grew up with the Genesis. Yeah, that's why I had when I started gaming. I was like, I want to play these games again, and I got the Genesis collection on Steam, so I got all the Genesis games there. That. Interesting enough, with that, the Steam version of the Genesis collection, the latest one, includes Sonic 3 and Knuckles, but the PS4 version doesn't, which is bizarre. So I have the PS4 version as well. Yeah. I only played Sonic 3 and Knuckles, but that's notoriously hard to find. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, no kidding, man. Yeah, well, Steam has been kind of a godsend for that sort of stuff, especially recently, because a lot of people have been more so GOG, because so many games. GOG is probably a little bit better for your kind of games. But even for me, not necessarily anything terribly niche, but it is nice just being able to find like older stuff on there, and not really having to worry about whether getting CD keys and stuff like that anymore. Just being able to load it up. So yeah, I feel that. Yeah.
Yeah, I got a Blade Runner off GOG. That game is amazing for its age. You play that one?
I have not. I know the one you're talking about, the Click Adventure. Yeah.
Yeah, that came out in 97 and it still looks pretty good. And there's a port coming to PS4 soon. Limited runs releasing physical copies. I'm trying to get it, but it's
really?
They announced it in February and then COVID happened.
Yeah.
And then they haven't mentioned again. So I'm keep checking their Twitter, waiting for it to come out. Because with limited run, as soon as it's on pre-order, you got to grab it straight away or it's gone. So I've been keeping track of their Twitter, trying to grab it, but I haven't seen it yet.
That's rough.
Yeah, because I like Blade Runner. As you can see my logo, it's very Blade Runner.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah,
and all my social media, it was a theme around Blade Runner.
Yeah,
and this podcast, the theming was actually supposed to be cyberpunk.
Yeah,
but I couldn't get the cyberpunk font to work properly with. So it looks nice when it says cyberpunk, but if it says anything else, it looks weird. So I went with this one, which looks like, I can't remember what, I think it's Terminator or something similar. It's very 80s sci-fi looking.
Yeah.
I can't remember which font they used, but it was
looks like Terminator more than anything else.
Yeah, it was something sci-fi that I found. Yeah, so I like sci-fi, I like retro stuff. Cool. So you think we covered the topic of writing essays?
I mean, I suppose, yeah. If anybody, I'm definitely not like I said before starting out. I'm definitely not the Bible on starting out with this, but with anything, practice makes perfect. All those videos took the last two took an extensive amount of time to make, albeit because of jobs and whatnot. But you kind of work yourself to a point where they're less daunting over time. The more that you do, the easier that they are, the easier that they become to make. And that kind of just goes with anything, going to the gym or, riding a bike. You know what I mean?
Or doing these podcasts. This is my 5th episode now, so I've been still pretty new at this.
Well, yeah, there you go. Yeah,
because I wanted to talk to people who do content creation, because I want to do it full time. So my YouTube channel is, my social media. Hopefully, I'm trying. So I work for myself, so I'm trying to move my stuff online and talk about what I do, but do it on YouTube and Twitch and stuff, and make money off that. So that's what I want to do for a living at some point. So I'm talking to everyone, trying to get all these tips and all these. If I'm talking to people, I might as well make a podcast where other people can listen as well.
Well, even just look at the first episode of Joe Rogan's podcast, I think it was first, and that
was very interesting. I'll talk about it.
Probably took about 5 years for it to kind of get anywhere sort of close to the point where it was as near in popularity of what it was. It was it took a long time for them to get to that point. So perseverance.
10 years.
Yeah, perseverance.
And the original why you started it, like what it gave him the inspiration to start a podcast?
It was I'm not especially read up on it, but I'm pretty sure he was just it was kind of just a joke at first, but then he wanted to a combination of a joke and something else. But it became just kind of like a after, because he does like stand-up shows and stuff like that. He had it as kind of just a way for fans to sort of hear him talk after his shows, and then it kind of became I guess more of like a regular thing where they were doing it every week, and then they got a studio and it went off from there. So
there's footage of him talking to Tom Green on Tom Green's podcast, because Tom
Green's and all that. Yeah,
you heard about that? Yeah. So Tom Green was one of the early live stream podcasters back in 2002, like very early for live stream podcasts.
And he's running out of his house. Yeah,
running out of his house, and Joe Rogan was on there saying, "I want to do this one day."
Yeah,
and then he did it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Tom Green. Everything can be linked back to Tom Green somehow. That guy he's very intuitive. Is that the word? Like he just does stuff, and then people copy him. Like the Jackass series, that was rip off of the Tom Green show. Like that's
I guess a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, there's like montages of like side by side of like what Tom Green did first, and then what Jackass did afterwards.
He's a Canadian. He's a Canadian treasure.
Yeah. Have you seen him lately? What he's been up to?
He's very different. He's
living in a van with a dog and a ventriloquist dummy.
Yeah,
he's got a massive beard now.
Yeah, he's a massive beard. He lives out of his van, but he's trying to, I don't know, he's like trying to like live in the wilderness in those I don't know what you call them, but they're basically like reconstructed like vans or trucks or whatever that you can basically live in and stuff like that. Like he has like a little like kitchen in it and stuff like that, and he basically just kind of like lives in that and goes off to these weird places, which is pretty cool. Yeah,
he's got a music studio in the van and a podcast studio.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
He got designed so he can actually make music out of it and do his live streams and stuff from it, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Because I do. Yeah. If you see my videos, which I don't really recommend people watch them because they're not for our audience. My videos are more for older people. But I do my videos in my car. After work, I'm finished with clients, I sit in my car and make videos. And they look horrible and sound horrible. I've got a, those mics that clip on your shirt now, so it sounds better. But yeah, they're doing it out of a van. It's probably hard. So it's good he's got the setup now that he can do it. It's crazy what people can do with vans. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't say. Yeah. Yeah. That's the biggest takeaway to take from this podcast of yours. It's crazy what people can do with vans.
Yeah. Well, have you seen Janelle Iniana, that girl?
I have not, no.
She made 2 videos about living in a van, and she had 2 million subscribers just from those 2 videos. Like a week apart.
No, it's
nuts.
Yeah, it's even something I've seen just on YouTube where people it's a bunch of people have been making videos about that sort of stuff, living up in Alaska and stuff like that out of a van, and what the day-to-day is like and what they do when it's poor weather outside, what they get up to. But yeah,
I don't think I'm that adventurous because I want to travel at some point once the COVID's finished. But I'll be in Airbnbs. I wouldn't be in my van or my car or tent or something. Yeah. I'll get Airbnbs or hotels and stuff.
Yeah, much the same way.
Yeah, not for me. Yeah. So I think we've pretty much covered everything. Yeah. So I that's how I found your channel. I think was retro gaming because the videos you cover, all games you cover, are not new. They've been around for 10 years or so.
Relatively speaking. Yeah, I suppose you're right.
Because the Resident Evil 4 video, that was the GameCube, and the GameCube's pretty much retro now. People call it retro.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you don't want to include all the re-releases they've made of it, but yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. Because that's on the PS4 now, so that game just keeps getting ported. There's a copy of the GameCube version that says only for GameCube on the cover. That's the funny thing, because it's been ported to everything now. I had the iPod version of it because it was on iPod at one point.
No, I tried the iPod version of it. Yeah, no, I've probably rebought that game 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. That's how much that's literally probably how much I bought Resident Evil 4.
Each of the versions like different and better, like better resolution, better graphics, or just bet the same.
Well, if anybody would want to play it, I would just say just get the version on Steam because there's a fan-made texture pack that's quite popular now, where somebody has actually individually gone through all the textures and added more detail and sort of redone them, but being very, very faithful. It's actually quite a feat what he's done, being very faithful to the original art design. But if you were just looking to play it again, I would absolutely say that one because that's probably the version that will they will have the probably be hardest for them to make redundant because it's on PC and it has the most longevity. Yeah. So because I remember buying it on Xbox One and being like, well, or buying it on Xbox 360 and I was like, wow, this is brand new. This is HD. And then sure enough, the Xbox One came out and you couldn't play it on the Xbox One when it first came out. So, and then they re-released it again. So my entire save just was redundant. So I was like, well,
that's annoying on the consoles.
Yeah, especially for a game that you like to keep coming back to. Yeah, I would just say just get on the PC, man. Unless you're an enthusiast, get on the PC.
You could even track down the Wii version if you wanted to and play with motion controls.
Yeah, probably.
Apparently, the motion controls in the game are actually pretty good. surprisingly enough.
For Resident Evil 4, yeah, I think so. Actually, I think that was probably the one good example of shooting on the Wii was Resident Evil 4.
Yeah.
But that was because they massed it over a game that was already so great, I would have to say.
Yeah, the Wii got a lot of weird games.
Yeah,
and with bad controls. It's like it's on like if you. Because I like the Sonic games, I want to collect all the Sonic games, and you go to the Wii ones. I was like, I got to wiggle the thing. It's so annoying.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Like, the controller. Yeah,
yeah. No, not kidding, man. Yeah, well,
very good. Yeah, thanks for joining me on this podcast. It's good. Good to talk to you about your channel.
Yeah, first time I've been on a podcast before.
Oh, very good. Yeah, it's first time. Yeah, I'm still getting used to it because I'm the host. I should be talking more, but that's all right. I just like to listen to what people have to say.
Talking, man. I'm not. No, it's. I'm starved for new experiences, so it's been great.
What you can also do too on your channel is have a. I don't know if you already do, but have a playlist when you do collabs with people.
Yeah,
and add this in as well, which would be
good.
Yeah,
sure thing, man.
Find it there as well. Yeah. So thanks for. I'm going to end the stream now, but thanks for coming. And if anyone wants to find you, it's MrDoubleyeww on YouTube and Twitter.
That's spelled double, as in like DOUBLE, and then YEW. Some people get confused.
Yeah. I've got your logo down the bottom there, so just copy what the logo says.
Yeah, there you go.
On the bottom of the screen there, yeah, so you can see that. I'll link it. Yeah. I have it all linked in the description already, so people can go straight to the link. Yeah. So what? How did that happen? How did you make the name that? Is because
it's because well, it's kind of lazy, but it was like I was thinking about names, and my last name is Wardle, so it starts with W. Okay, that's kind of thinking that's basically as inventive as it came, because it used to be something like there's like a sheriff or something like that in one of like the really old Roger Moore James Bond or something like that, and that I always remembered, and I think it was like Sheriff W, or it was like George W, like Bush or whatnot, and people used to call me W, so I was like, well, instead of W, because Bush kind of trademarked that, I do Doubleyew, but do you in a little bit of a funny way. So yeah, it's not very creative.
Yes, it was. Because Mr. W on your logo, that's pretty short, and you couldn't have that as the channel name because no one would find you because it's just so short.
Yeah. And surprisingly, I'm not the first person to patent it, but there's other channels that are called Mr. W, like with 1 or 2 subscribers, but I figured it was niche enough that nobody would have taken it.
Like with me, I just go by BC on social media and everything. And I can't just have that as the name because it's too short.
Yeah, you could get confused for the state of British Columbia or all this other sort of crap.
I've other things too. Before Common Era is the one I people get confused with.
Yeah.
Because when I show up in Twitch streams, it's like, oh, before Common Era is here. I'm like, what? British Columbia is here. Okay. I get that sometimes. Very good. Yeah. So if everyone is watching and listening, want to check you out, go check out the links in the description. And thanks for watching. And we'll come back next week for the next one.